Welcome to Foundations TV, everybody. We are here in our studio and we have a special guest with us, Mr. Rashid Shaikh, who is running for Selectman of Shrewsbury on the May 2nd elections. And he is actually promising some out-of-the-box approach to the town, the residents of our town, Shrewsbury. And we also have some residents here with us who have come here this evening with some... They have come here with some questions, and we're actually going to start right away with questions from the voter. So welcome to Foundations TV, Rashid.
Thank you, Gauri. I really appreciate it, setting this town hall meeting on this, Easter Sunday. And we greatly appreciate your help. And thank you so much, folks, for coming today. We know that you'd rather be home with your family, but you're here because you care about our town. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Chris Kirk, Chairman of Shrewsbury for Responsible Taxation. Rashid, are you going to raise taxes? And if not, how are you going to increase the town's revenues?
Chris, thank you for the question. It's a great question. You know that we have a little division in our town. There are two types of people. One believe that we should, every remedy, every answer in this town is increase taxes. And the other believe, keep the taxes low no matter what. However, I believe that we could have, just like Gauri said, out-of-the-box approach. Increase in taxes is an extreme thing. And I don't believe one should go into the extreme before looking at all the other factors. We just had a tax increase 2 years ago. And I believe there is absolutely no appetite for tax increase in this town right now. So one has to think outside of the tax increase paradigm. And what is that paradigm? That paradigm is that one has to look at the entire budget. If that person has a capability, that is the job of the selectman, not just the town manager. Town manager has done a tremendous job, trying to balance the budget. But it is the vision and the strategy which has to come from selectmen to basically, they need to review the budget and understand, is there anything we can do within the constraints in the budget? I'm not saying we're wasting money. I have spent my entire life improving efficiencies. So those people who say, oh, we are the best, nothing can be done, I'm sorry, my friends. We are good, but according to Jim Collins, good is the enemy of great. The day you say we are good and we don't need to do anything, nobody's better than us, I am sorry, that is the bad day. So I believe we are a good town. We had a lot of good years, but there are a lot of structural issues in the town which are really heading our way. And if we do not look at this budget, so I have reviewed every single line item of this budget. This is the budget of town of Shrewsbury. And with my notes, it says Rashid Sheikh's notes on budget. With God's blessing, I have the capability, skills, experience, and education, and that's what I have done and have done very well. I have reviewed every single line item of the budget, and I have came up 11 strategies to increase revenue and reduce cost. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So yes, I am not going to look for tax increase right now. Absolutely not. Because I believe there are a lot of people are suffering already. What we need to do is we need to look other ways. And one of the things is that we only have 12% of our tax base come from the business. And I'm not talking about apartments. I'm not talking about just the retail business. I'm talking about bringing a very good, healthy business that not only just bring revenue, but also bring jobs in town. So I have a lot of friends in the healthcare industry, and we have some of them here, who are the CEOs of the companies. They live in Shrewsbury, but they go out to Westboro and other towns to do business. We need to bring them and ask them, hey, what do you think we should be doing? I have talked to them because I have spent 20 years in the healthcare industry, in the medical device industry. I believe we are strategically located in such a great place that we have a lot of appetite and potential to untap, especially because of UMass proximity, to bring that business in the town and increase our revenue. Thank you.
Sadia Chaghtai here. So, Mr. Sheikh, you just mentioned that you are not going to raise taxes, but you know that Shrewsbury town has budget constraints right now, and we are concerned about our services, especially being a parent and active participant in Shrewsbury schools. I'm going to ask you, what are you going to do for our services and for the schools? Thank you.
Thank you, Sadia, for asking this very important question. There are a lot of people who have that in mind, that our services are really declining and we have budget constraints on school. Now, a lot of candidates are promising that we're going to do this and that. I will ask them what exactly they are going to do and how they're going to do it, most importantly. They say we are going to support school, we can do this, we have this much experience. But I have some experience with the school as well, and I have 3 kids in public school system. I love our school system. Our school is not good just for parents. Our school is good even for seniors, because if our schools are doing good, then our property values are doing good. But that does not mean that we put all the eggs in one basket, or we keep increasing our taxes. So let me share with you what I'm going to do, because I believe there is no appetite to increase the tax in town. So now all those people who are gung-ho about increasing taxes and solving the problem that way, because they don't really have any other plan. They have not shown a single line item in the budget where they can improve. They say everything is hunky-dory, everything is great. If everything's great and they're not going to be able to increase taxes, how are they going to solve the problem? You need to ask that to them, but I'll share with you how I'm going to solve that problem. So, first of all, I believe our school has always gotten very good budget and importance. We always have given importance to our school. We have done a lot of other things, but we have always supported our school. And I salute our administration doing that. So I think what we need to do is, number one, we need to create connectivity with our industry. I used to work for NIPRO, and at NIPRO, we have our neighbor was Clinton High School. A lot of the services at the school and a lot of the programs were supported by NIPRO. So Clinton High School and NIPRO had a lot of linkage. Do we have that linkage here? I don't see it. Every single year, I have seen a lot of interns who work at NIPRO from Clinton High School. They then become the employees of NIPRO. So it's a two-way street. Number one, the kids learn and they grow. And number two, the company benefit from it. Now companies will love it. Why don't we become the northeastern of this region by creating this connectivity with the industry? And then we can also get benefit from the industry. Not only we can create this internship program, but we can get a lot of benefit in our other services as well. And companies have to do this goodwill anyway. They do it. It's just we have to approach them. Thank you. I also would say this, that there are other places in the budget I have found where I believe we can save some money, and that money will be then available for our services and our infrastructure and our schools. I mean, I have given examples of the trash bag we sell. We have been spending $170,000 on trash bags, which we trash. And we spend, around $2 million, $1.8 million on our total solid waste. Out of that, $1.2 million are spent just on collection. So if we look at the Westboro type model, where they have offered their residents choices, I'm not saying we can follow that cookie cutter approach. What I am suggesting is that should be a debate at selectman level. My question is, town manager has been working hard to balance that. I have never seen that discussion at the selectman level. Why don't we have that discussion? I want to start that kind of strategic debate at the selectman level. I want to also have that discussion that do we really do stickers or do a flat fee instead of spending $170,000 on. I'm not suggesting that we don't collect the revenue. I'm saying we collect the revenue, but we do not spend the revenue we collect. That's what I'm saying.
So looks like Rashid, you've done some in-depth study on the budget, and you have some brilliant answers here, and you have some numbers right on the tip of your fingers, and you have some strategies that you want to bring to town. I think those were some really good answers that you've given so far, and I would like to move on to the next question. I think some of our visitors here, our residents here, have more questions that they want to ask you.
Let's get to that.
Hi Rashid, I'm Dr. Shankara, resident of Shrewsbury. A lot of construction is going on in Route 9 area. I just wanted to check with you how you're going to address the issue of town services and school system because of having almost like 250 apartments and all going on there.
So thank you, Dr. Shankara, for asking this interesting question. You know, this question was asked before, and I said, it's a one-word answer. It's a vision. Problem is, when our leaders were making that decision, they were preparing for 250 plus apartments permitting. I asked that question at that time, and I was fearful that it's going to put tremendous pressure on our town services like fire, police, traffic, schools. But I was given an answer, no, 1 and 2 apartments are considered like industrial complex, and they are not going to put much pressure in the system. I beg to disagree. I believe that was a major lack of vision. I believe it's going to be a major effect on our services and infrastructure. Not only services, but let's look at, we have constraint on our water and sewer. We have given 250 permits for water, 250 permits for sewer, and then imagine all the traffic we already have now, and what will happen, 5 years from today. You're not going to be able to move an inch from Oak Street to Consequent. And we better be planning for that right now. It is what it is. We have these apartments being built. We can't stop that. Now, if we want to stop something in the future, it's not the fault of a builder to build it. It is really a loophole in our system, so we need to have the right bylaws and right vision and strategy so this does not happen, to begin with. So now what we need to do is we need to think, what are we going to do? We need to prepare for it 5 years from now. It is absolutely going to impact our services, our schools, our infrastructure, our public safety, and most importantly, our traffic. So we better build relationship with our state agencies and start negotiating and working with them to model our traffic, to model our issues, and start planning for that now, because it will be too late 5 years from today.
Hi, my name is Vanaja. Mr. Sheikh, I have a quick follow-up question. Due to the construction that's going on in Woods Packs area, do you foresee any traffic issues? Thank you.
So thank you, Vanaja, for asking this question. This really drives into what we have been talking about, that we have not built any solid plan what we're gonna do 5 years from now with traffic issues. I understand that we have worked with the long-term planning, and there is a long-term plan, but I am honestly shocked that there is no discussion or planning for what's going to happen traffic-wise in that Lakeway district. We have some businesses already here, but there's a lot more coming. And there are retail-related businesses. So imagine if you have, major stores like Walmart, Target, or I think there is a discussion on JCPenney and those type of stores. Imagine the traffic. I don't know what's going to happen with Harrington Way. Right now, if you want to move from Harrington Way, from CVS all the way to Old Mill around 5 o'clock, good luck. Imagine when you have 250 apartments and you have, stores like that, and then what will happen? So I'm really furious. I believe that we need to work with our agencies to start modeling. We need to model this, and we need to see what's going to happen, and we need to ask them to step in and do something. And I'm honestly thinking, it may be crazy to think, but we may have to build some bridges. We may have to build some one-ways. We cannot deal with this the way because our roads are very, very small. We're not gonna demolish all the old houses there. So I think we need to really work with our state agencies. We will not be able to handle this as a town. And that's part of the reason I'm running, because I believe that I think strategically, and I need to bring that strategic thinking to the board so we think not for tomorrow, but we think 5 years from today, 10 years from today.
So, from what I'm understanding, this seems to be quite an intense problem, not only for the general traffic, but apparently for the essential services like fire and police as well. So, would you like to elaborate a little bit on how the town can deal with something like that?
So, Gauri, unfortunately, it's not just going to impact our traffic, but it's also going to impact our fire and police service. And we have to increase our manpower. I wish I could tell you that we could deal with it as what we have today. It's not going to happen. We already have a constraint on these services, and 5 years from now, we're going to need a lot more. So we better start planning and start working with, like I said, agencies. We're going to need some help. And we're going to need some other revenues, like bringing some good business, like a healthcare business. That doesn't need a lot of traffic. We are too much focused on retail business. We need to focus on, some high-end business like healthcare and sports around Route 20. And that's how we're going to bring some revenue and spend on infrastructure. But we're still going to need help from the state.
Dr. Mansoor Khan, Mr. Sheikh, I've been watching my water bill sort of steadily rise over the last few years, and I think it's approaching $400 a quarter now, which I find absolutely amazing given that my kids are already gone to college and there's not a lot of people at home. And then I found out, or at least I heard, that well over a third of our city's water is unaccounted for. So can you comment on how we're going to address that situation? And there's an additional concern about the quality of the water also. So there seems to be some linkage here, or some pieces missing. And from what I understand, this has been going on for years. So what can we do about trying to get our hands around this problem?
Thank you, Dr. Khan. That is really a question in everybody's mind. What's going on with our water? If you ask me what is our number one issue and what should be our number one priority, I will say water. Water is our basic need, and if we cannot provide our residents pure, clean water readily available, then honestly, I don't know what can we do. There is no way we can do anything, we can improve anything unless we provide basic needs, and that's water. So let me address your question is really two-dimensional. The first dimension is really the loss of water. You said it rightfully that about 1/3 of our total water capacity get lost or unaccounted for. So it's very unfortunate. This has been going on for decades. It's been going on, since 80s. So we have not made a lot of progress. We have done a lot of strategies. For example, we spend around $1 million on putting new meters. I'm sure you got a new meter recently as well. Unfortunately, that has not made, any improvement on our water accountability. Now we are checking some leaks. We found one small leak, but we are checking everything. However, I believe that the issue is not at a tactical level. Our managers are doing unbelievably great job. The issue really, it's a strategic issue. And you know this better than anybody else, that strategic issues are not solved at a tactical level. You need to have a strategic team. So I am suggesting a focused, holistic team managed and led by somebody like yourself, who has 30 years experience in the industry, who could lead a team strategically, put the right folks, and have weekly meeting and then report monthly to the Board of Selectmen. We need to solve this problem and create a focus on emergency level. If we strategically think it's a problem, but it's not a problem, that's one of the selectmen said. It's a problem, but not a problem. I'm sorry. If it's a problem, it's a problem. And if this is not a problem, I don't know what else is a problem. We are losing about $1 million a year revenue on that lost water, on water alone. But if that water is mixing with the sewer, then your loss is, many times. And then not only that, we are losing opportunities. We lost a healthcare business on Route 20 because we do not have enough water. We do not have enough water in this town. So we are now trying to connect with Worcester, trying to get some water, and also trying to get some sewer. Now let me address the other part of your question. The other part of your question is the quality. Honestly, that's even a bigger problem. We have found that we have a, elevated level of manganese and chromium. We have been treating manganese and chromium, but now we are building a bigger water treatment plant. But my concern is this, that if our water wells, we have about 7 water wells, and most of these water wells are in the old industrial dumping grounds. If they are in the old industrial dumping grounds, and I don't know if most of the residents know, we get all these water, we then send it to one source, so it means if one well is contaminated, the entire water is contaminated. I do understand there is economies of scales to treat all that water together and then send it, but then also we may be contaminating all the other 6 wells which may not be having contamination. So this is a strategic problem, and there is no way it can solve on tactical level. We're gonna be spending tens of millions of dollars on treatment plan without really thinking what's coming next. Now, today it's manganese. What if you have something else coming up? We need to have this strategic focus group who look at holistically what could be all the contaminants, and then we need to see, do we need to keep spending money there, or do we look for other sources? That's how I think it.
My name is Dr. Saud Javed, and I'm asking a question about the recent break-ins that I noticed there. There's a pattern of that, especially targeting a specific community around it. And what are your thoughts about that?
So, Dr. Javed, it's very unfortunate that we have all this going on in our beautiful town, which is considered one of the safest towns, and we live like a family. So I was very concerned as well. So I went and I had a very good discussion with our police chief, Chief Hester, who's a very patriotic, very hardworking, and very approachable person. So I had a conversation with him, and they are saying that this tends to be a seasonal. There are many factors, and one of the factors is that who is, in the House of Correction and who's not. So sometime when you have somebody comes out, then, unfortunately these things start. And he assured me that they have made their officers very vigilant, and there are gonna be some extra patrolling. I did still share my concern with him. He's saying that they made some progress. Of course, he cannot discuss all the progress. I am planning to follow up with him and discuss with him that what progress we have made. Islamic centers in Worcester, and I heard that somebody was from our neighborhoods, and unfortunately that episode happened, and I'm glad that they caught the person. So it's very important that people feel safe and secure, and Chief assured me that everybody should feel safe, secure, and if they see any activity like that, please feel free to call police. Feel free to call 911, and the police is on your side, and it's very important that you contact the police. But more importantly, I want to also add into this that public safety is my number 1 priority. So I have assured the police chief that I will support any budget or any equipment budget or any workforce budget. He comes in, I'll support that. That's my number 1 priority. We need to have a very safe environment where people feel safe. So I support public safety, and I support safety and security of our residents.
Those were some brilliant questions, I have to say. The residents of Shrewsbury are smart residents, and they had some really smart questions. And Rashid, I have to say that you were very well prepared. Obviously, you've done a lot of work and a lot of research, and you know where you're headed. You have a vision, you have a plan, and looks like you know how to execute that plan as well. Now, my question to you, I know a lot has been asked tonight, but I can't let it go without asking my question. And my question tonight is, in Shrewsbury specifically, the demographics have been changing a lot. It's been a very dynamic town for the last few years. And we all believe that it should be reflected in the town government as well. So what are your thoughts about that? And how do you see that happening with this particular election?
Gauri, I must thank you for arranging this event. And I also want to thank your very, in your language, very smart and brilliant residents. They really put me to task. They asked some great questions. So thank you, folks. So as far as your question goes, you're right. There's a lot of change going on, and I call it a positive change. There's a lot of positive change going on in Shrewsbury. And, there is a change in our, infrastructure. There's change in our, requirements, and the change in our schools and systems. Our schools have improved tremendously. But I think our systems are under pressure. And our demography has changed a lot. And, like everybody else, I like to see all that reflected in all of our town, including the town government. There are lots to offer, and that's the reason I'm giving back. I believe it's a two-way street. We need to appoint some people who are the right people, have the right background, and they can deliver a lot. A lot of these guys are CEOs of the companies. They have started their own businesses. I came to this country with $1,000 in my hand, and I built a small business here in town. And a lot of these people came in with very little in their hand. They went to schools. Some of the people went to the best schools in Massachusetts. I'm very lucky to go to some of the best schools. I went to UMass, I went to Harvard Business Schools, I went to MIT, I went to WPI, so I went around. And whatever I have learned, I want to give it back. I think it's a two-way street. Everybody here, no matter what their demography is, what their background is, they have gotten a lot from this country, they have gotten a lot from this city, they need to give it back. They need to give it back. It's not just my job, it's not just your job, it's everybody's job. We are all Americans, and we all need to give back. And then it is our job, whoever are involved in the town, to educate people and bring them along and encourage them and motivate them, and maybe, if we can, appoint them to the right places so that they don't just build their own companies, they build our town as well. Thank you.
So on that note, when you said that each one of us has a responsibility, I would like to add right here that yes, each one of us does have a responsibility to go out and give our own voice a manifestation of a vote. So we definitely have to go. We have a right to vote, and we need to execute that right. Go out and vote on May 2nd. Whoever you vote for, it's your right, it's your choice, but go ahead and do that.
Thank you.